You are now listening to 1-900 Old Ladies, The Lost Art of Making Lefse, written by L. Lee Starr, narrated by the author. Post-production by Pinto Media. Chapter 16. It was 11 a.m. at the Siebertson farm. Rosa was in the farmhouse kitchen, answering the 900 line for Marge. Her engorged breasts were painfully swollen and about ready to pop with milk. She rested 2 one-gallon freezer bags full of ice on each boob as she answered the line. She sat at the kitchen table, drinking a cup of black coffee while she spoke. Yeah, this is Gabrielle. What do you mean I'm not Gabrielle? Sure I am. The caller on the other end did not seem convinced that Rosa was who she said she was. Who are you? Jack? Tell me about your intimate fantasies, Jack. Rosa had immigrated to Arizona from Mexico with her mother, father, and younger brother when she was 9. She spoke perfect American English, but she had a very subtle Spanish accent. Even the most guttural English words rolled sexily off the tip of her Latin tongue. She was a very attractive young woman, a few years younger than Stan. She had very distinct curves and long and straight, dark ash-brown hair. Her eyes were a deep brown, and her eyelashes were so thick, long, and curly that they almost look false. It was not hard to understand how Stan would have been so helplessly captivated by Rosa's luscious and sensuous lips or her golden brown complexion. The other Gabrielle? Oh, no, she's not here. The caller was becoming irate, but Rosa was not going to take any abuse from him. Look, she's not here. Anyway, don't you want to discuss your fantasies with me? I'm a lot younger and prettier than the other Gabrielle. Well, yeah, sure she's the girl in the ad, but that picture was taken a long time ago. Jack asked her how long it had been since Marge's picture was taken. She answered, over 30 years. She tried once again to encourage him to chat with her. Talk to me, baby. Tell me what's on your mind. Jack cursed angrily on the other end. Rosa held the receiver away from her ear. Look, jerk, that's none of your business. I'm not going to tell you a real name, and I'm not going to tell you where we are. You don't want to talk to me, then I don't want to talk to you. Angry, she hung up the phone. Just as Rosa finished her heated exchange with Jack, Margie sauntered into the kitchen. She was still fuming from her encounter with Jim McDaniel. She still wore the dress from her date the night before. She wore a pair of sunglasses and moved very slowly. Her complexion took on an almost greenish hue as she struggled to recover from the previous night's bout of drinking. Who was that? Marge asked Rosa. Some guy named Jack. He wanted to talk to you. He tried to get me to tell him your real name. I thought they shut that guy's phone off. He kept saying his mother was going to kick him out, Margie stated, disgusted. He's not a problem, Rosa assured. I can handle it. Marge nodded at Rosa's makeshift cold packs, still propped atop her chest. Sore boobs? Yeah, they feel like 2 big boulders. Very hard and painful. I have to sleep on my back. Hurts too much. It's like they're on fire. Rosa pouted, extending her bottom lip. Then she looked up at Marge. You're kind of late. Stan wanted you out at the barn. Yeah, I know, Margie responded. Let me get a cup of coffee and put my jeans on. I'll be out there in a second. Half an hour later, Margie ventured out to the barn where Stan had been working. There were 2 long flatbed trailers parked in front of the open doors. The auctioneer had backed the trailers up to the barn and instructed Stan to start loading some of the smaller equipment and tools into boxes. Then he was instructed to set the boxes onto the back of the trailer. As the auction opened, buyers would be invited to inspect the goods before they decided on a bid. The auctioneer would hold up the box when the bidding started. The larger tools and equipment could just be laid out strategically along the perimeter of the barn. Stan Jr. stood on the back of the long flatbed trailer, shuffling over a box of half-filled cans of spray paint with his foot. He glared over at his aunt. He was obviously miffed. "Glad you could find time to join me," he commented sarcastically. He jumped off the trailer. "Sorry, Stan. Auntie's got a bit of a headache right now." She still wore her glasses to shield her sensitive eyes from the glare of the summer sun. "Out all night, sleazing around?" Stan inquired accusatorily. "Hey," his aunt cried defensively. "Don't you dare judge me, you little snot-nosed brat. I should take you over my knee." Stan sat down on an inverted 5-gallon paint can, dejected. "I'm sorry, Aunt Marge. I guess I'm a little overwhelmed right now. I just found my poor dad's body rotting under a bunch of this crap in the barn. My own mother, who should probably be in some mental hospital by now, is probably the one who killed him. And my wife is answering a slutty sex chat line in the kitchen. And just between you and me, Aunt Marge, I'm not sure she's not actually enjoying it." Frustrated, he hid his face in his hands. Margie patted her nephew on the back. "It's okay, Stan, baby. Auntie's working on a plan to get us out of this mess." She looked around at the separated heaps of tools and equipment. She walked over to the trailer and peered into the box of spray paint cans. "Seriously, who's going to buy this shit?" Discouraged, Stan Jr. stared down at the ground beneath his feet. Marge pulled up an old wooden crate and sat down next to her nephew. She wrapped her arm around his back. "Cheer up, baby. Auntie will make it better, I promise." She spoke in a childish voice while she pinched his cheek and mussed up his hair playfully. "Now, there's a good boy." Annoyed, Stan pushed Margie's hand away. "Knock it off, Aunt Marge." Marge forcefully pulled her nephew's head to her bosom and clumsily stroked his head. "What's the matter, widow Stan? You too big for Auntie to love on you? Give Auntie a big kiss," she teased. She puckered her lips and smacked them sloppy and wet against his cheek. Later that afternoon, Stan and Marge had almost completely loaded both flatbed auction trailers full of boxes. Stan was a fit young man of 27. He was used to hard labor. But Marge had been a housewife and mother for the last 30 years. She hadn't worked so hard since she left the family farm at 19. Her back was aching. They were both covered from head to toe with grime from pilfering through Stanley's filthy possessions. As she piled each hoarded item of Stanley's onto the trailer, she stopped to examine it and estimate its worth. She convinced herself that the majority of items had no value. All the stuff was just crap, and if she wasn't interested in Stanley's junk, how could anybody else be? But Stan Jr. knew that if his father thought the items were important enough to purchase and collect, surely someone else would take a shine to them. "It doesn't matter, Aunt Marge. Throw it on the trailer," he directed. He pointed to a few select items to illustrate his point that Stanley's collection may indeed have some monetary value. "See these here?" He displayed his father's antique gun collection, comprised of several pistols, one a Revolutionary War set of dual pistols, 4 hunting rifles, a crossbow, and a few novelty pistols. "Dad bragged about these guns all the time. There are a few guys in Himmel, Paul Baker included, who would love to get their grubby paws on these puppies." He surveyed the contents of the gun collection, then stopped suddenly. He looked puzzled. He murmured. "What?" "Well, most of his guns are here, but his World War II Army rifle is missing." "No kidding. Maybe he sold it," Marge suggested. "No way. He might have sold one of the other guns, but he definitely wouldn't have sold that. He loved to hold it while he polished it and told me and Mom his war stories over and over again." "Well, maybe your mom kept it as a memento," Margie commented. "Mom? What would Mom do with a gun?" he asked in disbelief. "I guess you're right. Ellie can't even kill a worm," she joked. "If that's true, Aunt Marge, what makes you so sure that Mom offed Dad?" Stan Jr. asked. Relax, Stan, baby. We don't know if she did. Stan glanced around the barn. Maybe it'll turn up, he said, once again distracted by the thought of the missing rifle. Moments later, Rosa walked out to the barn. Marge, there's someone on the 900 line asking for you. It's not Jack again, is it? I was hoping they'd have shut his phone off by now, Margie complained. No, this guy asked for Marge Carter. He says his name is Jim McDaniel from Bismarck. Margie grinned. Sorry, Stan, baby. I gotta take this. She excitedly skipped up the dirt trail to the dilapidated farmhouse. She rushed into the kitchen and nervously grabbed the cordless phone. At first, her expression was a happy one. Then her face transitioned into an angry scowl. She almost forgot how badly Jim had pissed her off. What do you want? She demanded. Her tone was harsh. Why shouldn't I hang up on you? Listen, I don't mind being a one-night stand, but I'm certainly not a prostitute. Marge listened silently as Jim McDaniel tried to eloquently apologize for his grave faux pas, committed earlier that morning. He knew Marge was mad at him. He just needed to keep her on the phone long enough to explain. Why did you call the 900 number? She asked. Jim explained that her 900 number was the only number she had given him. She didn't even tell him what town she lived in. In fact, he knew very little at all about her. He asked Marge how much it was costing him to talk to her. It's $5.99 for the first 5 minutes and 99 cents for each minute after that, she informed him. How long have you been holding? He told her that Rosa had kept him on hold for 20 minutes. Ha! I might get that $200 from you after all. After her laughter subsided, he tried to very humbly invite her out on a dinner date. Tonight? Well, let me check my calendar. She glanced at the 1993 wall calendar, which was tacked to the wall above the kitchen table. There wasn't a mark anywhere on it. Actually, she had no scheduled engagements for the entire year. Yeah, I'll pencil you in. What time and where? He asked her if she liked barbecue spare ribs. Honey, I've lived in the South for almost 40 years. Now, how can you live in the South and not like ribs?